Thank you for joining. We are at TLA Radio, and we have our show today, as promised, Money Talks. We're going to talk about money, business, and so much more. And I want to introduce my guests, and Ragina Glbinus. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
And you're welcome. Glad to have you here. And Dlya Urman, guest starring in our show here today. Thank you very much for being here.
Having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. And I'm going to explain the reason that I brought Dlya in, Ragina, is because Dlya is a businesswoman, and she has a long history of owning businesses, very successful. And she will have a lot of questions for you. And we're going to be talking about money, my favorite subject. I love that. I love talking money and finding out the new things about money. But I'll start with the first question.
Okay.
And my first question is, Ragina, is being a business person, a business mind, is that in our genetics? Is it genetic?
No, I don't think so. I think before we can run a business, well, yes and no. I'll tell you why yes and no. I think in order to run a business, we have to be able to run ourselves first. We have to be able to self-manage, self-lead and self-manage. I believe a lot of people don't want the responsibility. So until you can self-manage yourself as a human being, I don't think you're qualified to run a business and manage other people. If you can't lead yourself, if you can't manage yourself, if you can't manage your mindset, if you can't manage your emotions, if you can't manage your actions, how can you possibly lead a team of people? Because a business is people.
You're a leader.
You're a leader.
Okay.
How can you lead anybody if you can't even lead yourself?
Okay.
And make good, sound decisions, not emotional, but logical. So I had this conversation with somebody and from the military background. So he was telling me that we all have it in us. So I'm kind of on the fence about that. I don't believe that, but different perspectives. But I believe that people can lead themselves. Once they master leading themselves, they're very qualified to run a business. Because the truth is that if you can manage yourself, you can run any company. It doesn't matter because...
What does it mean, manage yourself? I mean, I manage myself. I get up in the morning, do my workout, have my breakfast, go for a walk, and expect a check to come or to arrive in my mailbox. So I've managed myself. Did I manage myself business?
No.
Okay.
No. So that's a convenience of a lifestyle, right? But what I'm saying about manage yourself is if there's a hard situation, are you going to sit there and cry about it? Or you're going to try to figure it out? Okay. Are you going to lead yourself through the process? Will you complain that nothing is working? Nobody owes us anything, right? I've always been of a mindset, you need something done, you go figure it out. Stop complaining. That's just my perspective. I'm going to raise my kids this way. Okay. Because I'm raising leaders. I'm not raising employees for just in my house.
I love it.
That.
Me too.
Thank you.
That's great.
When problems come up, how do you handle it?
Right.
I care how I pay attention how people manage the problems. Do you get emotional? Do you blow everything up on your way? Do you blame everybody? Or do you kind of get yourself together quickly and you go straight for the solution? There are people who are going to sit there and complain. I'm curious how long you're going to complain for. I want to know. Are you going to complain for 30 seconds and then move past it?
Right.
There are people who get up in the morning and they can have a bad morning and they make it into a bad month. There are people who get up in the morning, have a bad morning, have a good cry, have a cup of coffee, and get back to life.
Right.
So I watch this stuff, right? So who are you through this stuff?
Great.
Yeah? Because if you have a company and you have issues in a company, there is no time to sit and cry about it. There is no time to analyze it, overanalyze it. Sometimes you got to be able to make fast decisions.
You can be emotional.
Emotional decisions are very, very expensive.
Okay.
Extremely expensive. So when it comes to life, for example, right? Yeah. When it comes to life, for example, if something happens and we get super emotional, what could happen? We create more issues. Yeah. The logic is the higher the emotion, the less the lower the intelligence level.
You know how I know I'm not a business person? I freak out.
I A CEO doesn't have time to freak out. There's no time. If there's fire stupid out, who has time to freak out?
Right.
I've noticed CEOs, they'll fix it, then go home and say, oh my God, the day I've had, and then they'll freak out afterwards, after it's done. When it comes to money, the reason emotional decisions are very expensive is, as you know, my background is corporate turnaround. Mm-hmm. All of their balance sheets were filled with hard money loans and bad decisions because there were emotional decisions based out of fear.
Okay.
I don't know if everything's emotional decisions. Sometimes you have to make a decision because of something happening in the company.
No.
And you don't have another chance.
No, I understand. I'm saying Ilana's asking about emotional decisions. I'm saying emotional decisions are very expensive. You have to be able to make a decision like you're saying.
Yes.
Logically, right? Because you can't be emotional and logical at the same time. You got to pick one.
Right.
Really?
I believe so.
Even as a woman? Because, we're very talented, so we can be emotional for a second and then say, well, you know what? Let me go cry it out in the bathroom and I'll regroup and come back and be,
No.
back.
I'm not saying that emotional is not allowed.
That's a woman thing.
No?
I don't think, I'm not saying
I'm generalizing.
I think big time. I would never go in the bathroom and start crying about something to do with business. It would just not happen.
What would you do? What would you do when you have a situation where it's a difficult situation and shouldn't have happened?
You have to think through it and figure out the solution, but not always. I understand what you're saying, but not always there's really a good solution. Sometimes you have to take the loss. Sometimes you have to wake up in the morning and say, I have to take the loss. Either shut the business, change something, actually take the loss.
But it's still a decision.
But that's a decision, and you have to live with it, and you have to be okay with it.
But to add to what you're saying, I'm not saying emotional is not okay. Listen, I cry all the time, but I move through it fast. Emotional is okay, but I'm saying you can't be highly emotional and make a logical decision in the same moment.
Right. No, I understand.
So if you have emotions to process, I would rather tell a CEO, go process your emotions. Get it through your system, whatever the problem. Maybe for some people it's working out. For some people it's taking a run, having a coffee. We all have our system. And then come back with a clear mind. I'm just saying two at the same time can't happen. Mm-hmm. But yes, sometimes we have to make some hard decisions, but it's still a decision.
Yes,
right?
that is correct. That is correct. Yeah.
Right. So just because your parents own a business, it doesn't mean you as a child of a parent who has a successful business, you will be automatically just like your parent, you will be the leader. That's not necessarily is the truth. Many times I hear stories that kids don't even want to be, have nothing to do with, their parents' business.
Correct.
And why is that? I mean, we work so hard, build a business, make that business long term. We plan for future, and our children not really interested in that. Mm-hmm.
Because when we start our business, it's our passion. Our kids didn't ask for it. Mm-hmm. It's our passion. We started our dream. We started our passion. Mm-hmm. Why are we forcing our passion on our kids? What if they have a different passion? Don't we want our kids to be happy? But parents get this way. Get this way. I've built a business. I've done all these things.
Right.
We hold our kids responsible to continue. Right. And the kid may be saying, look, Dad, Mom, I don't want to run a manufacturing plant. Right. This is not my dream. This is your dream. Mm-hmm. But we're forcing our dreams on our kids. I don't care how big the company is. If my parents had a massive company or a company, doesn't matter how big it is, and it's monetizing well, I'd like to be asked before it's pawned onto me.
Right.
What if it's not my dream? What if that's not what I want to do? What if I want to do a different company?
Right. It's very true.
Also, not everybody is meant to be the owner or the producer or the person in charge. Some people are actually better being the employee.
That's right.
They actually make more money, have a lot less tension, don't have all the anxiety that it's not easy to be an owner of a business. You have a lot more things on your head. Yes. And a lot more responsibilities.
Yes.
You have to feed your employees before you feed your house.
That's
it's not
true.
meant for everybody.
Is that true? Is that true, Regina? Do we feed employees before we feed ourselves?
I believe that a CEO should get paid first, and I'll tell you why. A good CEO with the correct mindset and a good heart will feel very guilty for taking the check when others don't, and they will do whatever is necessary to go get more jobs, close more deals, and pay the payroll. Because that's how a lot of CEOs get in trouble. You talk to them, they haven't been paid for months or for years.
CEOs.
Absolutely. You would be surprised how many CEOs don't take a paycheck for a very long time. They should just take minimum or just pay a little bit of their basic bills from the company. Because when they don't take a check, somehow they justify it. When they don't have money to pay their employees, they better hustle up and turn some jobs over.
Okay.
That's the difference. It puts a different type of pressure on them.
Okay, got it. So let's do a little bit of an investigative business. So when there is a business that you walk into a business, and Regina walks into businesses, and she is able to see the financial status of the business and whether it's going to be successful or it's on its way out. So when you see a family business where you see the children are in that business, and the numbers are not, it doesn't look like a happy business. People are not happy there. Can you predict the numbers?
Well, it's easy. If nobody's happy, it's going downhill. It's not even a matter of projection. Long term, it's not going to sustain. It may be here for 6 months, 3 months, 3 years, but long term.
I don't agree.
You don't think people?
No, because I'm willing to do a business that I don't have any passion for if I'm making money.
With all
as long as I'm making money, I don't care what I'm doing.
No, but I think, Ilana, you're saying when employees are unhappy, right? When people
when the employees are unhappy?
I'm
saying when it's a family business and you have family members that are unhappy working in the family business.
Get them out.
So get them out is great. It's actually that I agree with you. I don't think you should have unhappy people. Forget if it's family or not family. Unhappy people. It's very difficult for family business to get rid of your child, fire your child. It's difficult. It's very emotional, and here is emotional. It's an emotional decision, right? So but how do you handle that? When you walk, because I know you do that. When you walk, how do you tell a father, fire your son?
By the time you get telling a father, fire your son, the father knows that he needs to fire the son. He just hasn't pulled the trigger. He knows.
Okay. So once they start complaining, once you hear that complaint,
who's complaining? The CEO's complaint?
The CEO complaint,
It's bad company morale if they're seeing the child misbehave, get away with bad things, and everybody else is held to a different standard. People lose respect for the leader, the CEO. So are you going to keep your child and you're going to support bad behavior? What are we teaching them? My personality, I would fire my kid in a blink of an eye. That's just, and my kids know that. Kids know that. I am here to produce a productive member of society.
Okay.
If we're teaching our kids that everybody else has a set of rules, but they're somehow special because they're the kid, actually they have more responsibility than other people because they're the kid. Right. They represent the family and the business.
Right.
And if they cannot step up to the responsibility, they need to go and find their own way. Now, I would fire my kid. I would make her suffer, my style, and then I would take her back when she gets her head out of her butt.
I like it.
Very good.
Because I'm not helping them otherwise.
Right.
When I'm gone one day, what's going to be left? What are they going to be capable of doing if mommy or daddy are constantly saying, it's okay to show up to work late. It's okay to do this. It's okay to have a 3-hour lunch when people have a 1-hour lunch. It's horrible for the business. And when the employees see that, employees are the thing that makes the business work.
Right. They lose respect.
I'm curious. I have a question. What is your opinion in general about family-run businesses? I don't know that I'm so for it to begin with. I think everyone should be separated. I don't know that a father and a son working together is the best idea on earth, because when things go bad, you might lose that relationship forever. I'm just saying out.
Donald Trump and Melania, they work together.
They have 1,000 businesses.
All his kids are in the business.
Each one has their own complete different.
But I do want to say something.
Okay.
His kids line up.
Yes,
his kids don't argue with him. They're extremely disciplined. They know their job, and they probably hold themselves to a higher standard than any employee of the company.
Yes,
do you think he would not fire his kids in a blink of an eye?
Oh, yes, he would.
I'm sure he would. I
That's exactly what
they're very well educated. They all have their own part. And
rules,
they definitely run
So
by
this
rules.
may have perhaps answered your question. Perhaps that's the question.
I don't know that everyone's as strong as Donald Trump. I think he has a very strong personality. and he raised his kids from day one a certain way.
Right.
I, for instance, did not raise my kids that way. It's just not my personality.
Right.
Just as an example. So if you're not raised that way, your outcome might be different.
Right. But if you raise your children to be an independent people,
might not be independent.
No,
that's what I'm trying to say. You can raise your kid. They have their own personality, and not everybody's meant to be independent. Not everybody.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. Not like I have 2 daughters. They're extremely different.
Right.
Extremely different. I treat them the same.
Okay.
Same rules apply. And I know that they're just different.
Okay.
Very different. One is a hardcore leader, and my younger one, the older one, is different. But if I had both of them in a business, they would probably have different responsibilities based on what they're capable of. Because if I give one of them that's not necessarily a natural born leader, the responsibilities I would give to the other one, I would completely break her. Or if I give the other one that's a natural born leader responsibilities of the other one, it wouldn't be enough for her. So they would have different sets of responsibilities.
Correct.
But they would get fired in a blink of an eye. They have a position to fill. This is the position. This is the list for the position. If you cannot do the job, I will get somebody else who can.
How many strikes?
With the kids, I'm very strict.
So one strike, they're out. If they don't show up or they're late.
No,
okay.
That's extreme. No, but like my kids, like in the house, I don't like to repeat myself twice. Like I don't like to do it.
Okay.
How old are your kids, if I may ask?
17 and 24. Well, in July, they're going to be 17 and 24.
Nice.
But I've always raised them this way.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I was a single mom, and I don't like to repeat myself. If you don't clean the house, the toys get in the trash. I mean, it's very simple in my household.
Right.
They would watch me walk around the house, and they would run in front of me, picking it up and then hiding it, putting it back.
But that's how you teach responsibility. That's how you teach accountability. And that's what you need in the world out there. If you don't know that, you cannot function.
I believe my biggest job is to raise people that can function properly in society and create a life at a highest level for themselves. Because I believe we have this life experience. It's a magnificent opportunity. It breaks my heart when I watch people piss it away.
Right.
I don't know if I can say that.
You can say anything.
You're on a podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
you can say whatever you want.
Wasting money is
So
and time.
Yeah.
Which is you can replace money, but you can't replace time.
Replace the time loss.
Right.
But some of the biggest issues I've seen, if not the biggest issue I've seen, is family working in the same business because people have entitlement. But the only reason people get away with it because the CEO at some point said, okay. When people get away with bad behavior, it's not their fault. It's ours as the leader. It's because you allowed it.
Right.
We're saying, she's doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong. Well, you said yes to that at some point.
So what do you do with that homeowner, with that CEO? Do you reprimand them? Do you, when you watch the business and you see him, being taken advantage of, basically by family members? What do you see? What do you say to them?
You present the facts and you let them make the decision. You present the facts of how it's impacting the company, you let them make a decision. You present the fact that if they're, let's say, managing a production floor, they're late, we're bleeding labor, we're cost of material, cost of this. You present the facts. When it comes to family, it's very personal, intimate, and emotional. So I'm very careful saying fire this person, but I give them the information. Ultimately, it's their decision they have to live with at the end of the day. It's their company.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. I want to touch on something that happened last week. I think we should talk about that because that was very interesting. And now that Giselle is listening to our podcast and she's following us. And thank you, Giselle, for the opportunity. I want to know. We want to explain what your function is in a business because we expected something of one kind, and you are actually something completely different. And you brought an example of that you're like a surgeon, that you're not the general doctor that goes into the business and analyzes. You're actually hardcore, go in there and you slice the thing. So how differently should have we handled that situation when let's say you're going to go back to Giselle's business again? What should she be prepared for?
So she should be prepared for a very intimate discussion. You don't go into a surgeon's office without all of the facts. So if you go to a doctor's office, they're saying, well, what's wrong? You're like, well, I don't want to tell you. I can't tell you this. I can't tell. You're like, well, how can I prescribe anything, right?
Right.
So my job is to go into a business, understand how it operates, and how we can make it better. For me to do that, I need to have a very intimate discussion with the owner.
Okay.
How is it now? How long have you been in business? What's the pattern? What are the numbers? Do you see it? Is it scaling up? Is it scaling down? Sometimes it's going up, but the profit is going down. We have to look across. So I have to ask intimate questions. You can't go to the doctor's office and say, I don't feel good. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Right.
Hope you can figure it out and tell me what to do. It doesn't work like
Poke. Kick.
and hopefully something hurts so we know what it is.
Right.
It's a very intimate, it's a business. It's a very intimate discussion. And no topic can be off the table because I don't know. Sometimes I have to ask questions that come up on the spot based on the responses people give me.
Okay.
And then we build the picture. First, I need to understand the picture. Then we build the picture.
Okay.
So the questions would be, how long are you in business? What do you see the issues? What are the good things? What's the number? What are the certain line items? What's the balance sheet? Is there any loans? Is there any debt? Is it good debt, bad debt? I mean, there is all these questions.
So you have it. You have a list of questions that you ask.
There is no list.
There is no list.
It's all intuitive. I've done this for 20 years. There is no list. I walk in and I just go to work.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's in my blood. I guess it's
in your blood. Exactly.
It's in your blood. It's genetic. That's
Yes.
how we opened up. So just by looking at her general ledger is that enough? Just if she opens accounts receivable, accounts payables, is that going to give you
a question? It's a whole question. Well, is there any debt in the business? Is it going up? Is it going down? Are the margins maintaining? Are the margins staying the same? What if she's increasing in revenue but the margins are decreasing? So if she's saying I made $250,000 in 2020, but I made maybe $500,000 in 2021, but the margins are going down. So it doesn't, just the fact that she increased in sale doesn't mean she's doing better.
Because of her expenses.
Correct.
Expenses, cost of sale to produce. People say I made more, but what's left? There's a lot of people who make much less, but have left much more at the end of the day. So it's a whole, it's a puzzle. When you're putting those pieces together, 1,000 puzzles, if even one piece is missing, you don't have the whole picture.
That's true. And a lot of
Okay.
people don't think about any of those things.
No, they don't. They don't know what to think because the business owner usually, why don't most people open businesses?
Why?
Because they're passionate about a project. They know how to do something. They know how to create something. If somebody knows how to make an iPhone, just using as an example.
Yes.
They say, I want to open a business, make iPhones because I'm great at it.
Right.
Or make the table or make the glasses. It doesn't mean you know how to run a business. Most people have no clue how to run a business.
So having passion is not enough.
There's a lot of starving artists, very passionate.
That's very true.
Yes.
Running a business and making something is very different.
Right.
Very different.
It's
And also, I
people
can say,
please.
I can say from experience, I'm really good at sales. So I can sell anything and I can go to you and tell you that the table's white. You'll buy it. You'll think it's a white table. And I know that I have that talent. But having done that is not the same even as running the rest of the business, making sure it's shipped on time. The product doesn't have damages. If it does have damages, that you take it back and that you have run customer service and that your employees are following A, B, C, D. Because if D doesn't happen, that entire sale just went to the trash can.
That's right.
It got nowhere. So, and if you don't ship on time, depending what kind of stores you're shipping to. And then the scary part, and I can tell you from experience, is because I sold to many stores. So when you sell to, let's say, a department store, Nordstrom's, and you get an order of 50 stores and you're producing all that, they're allowed to return certain things. You can actually lose more money. You're so excited. You're made, wow, I just sold $2 million worth of product. That doesn't mean you're making money at all. And actually you can end up losing. So not always selling to the big department stores. Eventually, yes, it's important. But I'm saying not always is that where you're going to end up making
the money. But
making the money, it's scary.
That's such a great point, Ilana. You've asked me, I think, 2 episodes ago, like, why does somebody need somebody like me in the business?
Right,
It's a great question. So,
Okay.
for example, Dahlia comes to me and says, I have a $2 million order.
Yeah.
She only has the questions that she has. She only has the knowledge. My job is to ask all of the questions to make sure we don't miss the mark.
Right.
What are the payment terms? Do we get money up front?
Exactly.
Do we have cash in the bank to finance the production?
A lot of money.
A lot of money. If we don't hit the schedule,
Right.
what are the penalties? What are they allowed to return? You see what I mean? She doesn't have all the questions in her head, not because she's not smart. It's one person.
Right.
We only know what we know. So my job is to
Not just that, when you're experienced, and she's experienced obviously and knows to ask the question, sometimes people get in the pattern of being excited. Oh, I went to a trade show, I just sold X amount of money and stuff. And they're not thinking of all those things. Where's the money going to come from for production? How long is it going to take you? All these other things. Do you have to ship it in? Is there going to be customs?
Payment terms. How long are they going to take to pay? Do you have to fund it and they pay you? It's
usually like days? Net 30, net 60, net 90.
The bigger the contract, the slower the money comes in.
Could be net 120.
And what are you going to do for 4 months if you're out on production, on payroll, on taxes, on insurances?
And people get in a small, they're all happy and my business is doing great. And they take that number. Oh, I just sold $5 million worth of product. I'm just throwing it out there.
Right.
And that they're running in their head. They made all this money. They might not make. They might actually lose money. They're all excited and they're telling people how their business is growing.
Yeah.
So what she said in the beginning, if you're not really a business person and you don't have the experience, and it's really great to start little businesses, and I'm not against it. I'm all for it. But you really need to know every single part of that business. So recently someone came to me and said, oh, I'm going to open a business to sell windows. That sounds great. But what do you know about the production, where you're going to buy it, who's your competition, how much is advertising going to cost you, how much is insurance going to cost you, how much? They said, oh, you're so negative, I can't talk to you.
Exactly.
But that's exactly the answer I got. You're so negative, nobody can talk to you.
But also to the point that you made, so for example, you bring in a $5 million sale, what a million to this amount, we'll just use 5
I was bringing in a lot of sales.
So $5 million as a sale, and then they don't pay you for let's say 120 days, 4 months. Not only do you need to fund production but you need to fund other jobs that are coming in from your cash flow, because that's a massive chunk of money you're not going to see for 4 months. And typically with big companies, you then have to call and beg and plead and follow up and get somebody on the phone. They don't just cut checks like that. They know they're sitting on cash because they can't, because they're big.
Exactly. They get a lot of leeway.
They get a lot of leeway. So there's no guarantee you're going to be out that much.
Not just that, if you want your product to be in a specific location in the store, you actually paying the store for it.
That's right.
The store doesn't give you, unless you're really so big that the store is giving you.
That's in retail, right? That's in retail.
In retail, but a lot of people are in retail. A lot of things are going out there in retail. And you actually are paying real estate in stores.
You're renting
real estate.
You're renting.
You want private real estate.
How much real estate do you want in that store? How much are you going to sell for that real estate? There's a lot of things that people don't think about or know, but they just don't know.
They don't, because they don't know what to ask, because they only know what they know. So going back to your question, when you said, well, why would people need me? That alone can save a company.
Right.
Just asking the right questions will save a company.
You might not want to even take the order that you got. You might want to start smaller.
And we've had that.
I'm giving you an example.
Yeah, but it's also it's very it's very scary. I mean, if people would know exactly what things are evolving from that transaction,
be scared, you can't be.
They may not go in there.
Then you shouldn't be in business.
You shouldn't be in business.
No.
So you have to.
My dad used to say, "I'll take the loss. If I take the loss, I did it to myself." He lost on certain projects, certain things. But if you're going to be scared of that, do not be in business.
Yeah, you can't be scared, because it's always going to be.
That's part of it. You win, you lose. You win, you lose.
Yeah, there's always going to be jobs that suck. People didn't pay. They walked away from their money. Employees screwed something up. If you can't, that's going back to the emotional part. If you can't facilitate it and handle it, you're going to lose more. You're going to add to losing the money as the CEO. You got to be able to move quick and have the emotional intelligence to lead yourself through these situations.
Right.
Okay. So I think my one of my biggest assets is I function extremely well in chaos. I don't freak out.
I actually function better.
Yeah, I don't freak out.
I don't function so well when I'm so laid back and I take my time, but I know
instantly if there is a problem. Yeah, just something in me just comes together, calms everybody down. Okay, we need to do this. If you need to complain, we're going to do this after. Like, now is the time to kind of, game plan, so to speak.
Also, I think that everyone needs to know themselves. I'm not an organized person. I could do the business. I'm not organized. I'm not going to know where the paper is tomorrow. Today, things are on the computer, but
neither am I.
So I'm either going to have to hire someone that is following me. When I say following me, when I drop a piece of paper, they're picking it up and putting it in the right place.
Okay.
Or I can't be in business. I cannot. I'm excellent at everything. I am not organized. I don't know how to organize.
How can you run a business and not be organized?
I don't have to be organized.
I'm not an organized person.
I need to be able to make good, solid, profitable decisions. I don't need to be able to file documents from A to Z.
Exactly. Bring someone else to do it.
No, but listen, but say you as a business owner, you have a transaction, okay? You sold goods. You sold 100,000 pieces to Nordstrom, okay? And you lose that invoice.
Yeah, I wouldn't know where it is 1 minute later. I won't even remember the amount that I sold.
I have an accountant, but I have a bookkeeper sitting next door. Why would I do my own books?
I would never do it either.
Yeah. Even as look, what if your accountant croaks? You know,
you have a backup.
There's a backup.
What backup?
You do a backup.
Okay. So again, a few weeks ago, we talked about the small business infrastructure. The CEO typically doesn't have the money to hire people or good people. That's exactly to your point. So they're stuck wearing all of the hats. They're managing production. They're filing their own stuff. They're doing their own bookkeeping because they don't want to let go of the money to hire somebody.
It's also some people have the problem that they feel like they need to be in charge of everything. And if you can't delegate,
you're not a business owner.
You can't do it. If you can't let other people help you, better not to do a big business.
I agree on delegation. I think delegation is important. You know, a CEO cannot do everything. And Regina taught me that. And so I understand that. But I do think that a CEO or any business person owner should be very super organized to know their you know, where their numbers are in place. They should know their numbers. They should look at it. But if you lose an invoice, how are you going to know your numbers?
I have a bookkeeper sitting next door.
Some people do. Some people have.
I will tell you my organization. I will tell you what it is.
Yes, please.
I don't care how they file. I don't care. When I ask for something, they better know when to tell.
Exactly.
Every single Monday, I need financial reports on the desk of the CEO when I talk to them so we can go over it. That's my organization at the high level. I don't need to know how they print them, how they file it. They need to know their job.
Yes. And by the way, if I'm wasting my time because I'm not good at, let's say, filing or knowing where to put everything.
I'm not even touching it.
That time that I wasted, those 2 hours, I could have sold another store another $5 million worth of product. It's a waste of time.
That's a waste of time.
A waste of time for the company in general.
That's why small businesses stay small. The CEO is saying, I'm going to hire somebody later. I don't have the money. You don't have the money not to hire somebody. You can't afford not to hire a bookkeeper to file and print. That's not a job that a business owner should do. That's why most small companies stay small. The CEO hoards the stuff. They're afraid to give it to anybody. And they end up, cleaning the bathrooms at night, managing the production floor, doing their own invoices, following up on payment. When do you have time to sell and run a business and make good, smart decisions if you're in this minutia all day long? You
do. You exhausted. By the end of the day, you're completely out of your mind.
You're an employee, not a CEO. Go get a job. You'll have less responsibility.
Exactly. Some people, it's not for them.
It's not. At what point, Regina, a CEO is ready for an employee? Say somebody opened a brand new company and they're one person, one employee, they're self-employed and they're one, okay? At what point in the business development he's ready for an employee?
They should not open anything until they have at least a bookkeeper who can give him $15 an hour for 5 hours a week at least.
So he cannot make his own bookkeeping?
Oh, why? Okay, people that don't understand bookkeeping, the messes that they create, they don't even understand their own numbers. So why are you even doing it? They can't even read their own numbers. They don't understand balance sheet, P&L, what's cost of sale, what's expense. So what's the point of even putting it in the books? So they can save $100 a week on a bookkeeper for 5 hours.
There are people. My father, it was old school. It was different days, different times.
By hand,
computers.
Probably, no?
By hand, and like a computer used to know every single thing. And he was very successful man.
Yes,
very.
Exactly.
But today, in today's world, I don't think that he'd be able to run the same type of business. It's a different world.
Your father could run the business in any time of the day. The mind of a brilliant man is eternal. It doesn't matter what age they run.
He did everything in his head. Every single thing was in his head.
But it's funny, a true CEO, they understand the value of having these people. That's why they grow.
You have to. I agree with that.
If you look at multi-billion-dollar companies, their biggest investments is into people.
You talked about Donald Trump. You know how many thousands of people work for him, how many different businesses
and advisors.
He would not be able to run half of those businesses if he was on his own, or just even him and his children.
Do you think he knows where his invoices are at?
You know what? Let me tell you something. I think Donald Trump knows everything.
I'm sure he knows how to click the software, but he's not doing it.
I watched he had a show called You're Fired. Apprentice.
I used to watch it.
And I studied this show. I was watching and studying, taking notes and, and seeing what he's doing. He had zero tolerance.
He does. Yeah.
Zero. There was no second chances with him. Nothing. You arrived to his corporation, zero. He fired people for
the spot.
Things like, I was like, what? So she sold 5 cents less than big deal.
That's for the show. That's for the show. But overall, I think he has zero tolerance because he's such a massive company. If you tolerate this, then it becomes you have to tolerate this. And this person starts to complain, why are they getting special treatment? It becomes.
I like the fact that you said that an employee is just, if you have one rotten employee, it's going to affect the whole culture of the company.
Yeah.
They have they lose respect.
One good employee, your business could be thriving.
Yes.
I mean, good employees are very important.
Yes.
So I'm not only for people that are business people. Some people are meant to be employees and they can do great. They can live their life and do great.
Yeah.
I agree. I think most people are meant to be an employee. That's what most
not
people
everyone can handle the pressure.
Listen, if you look at a school system, right? What are the system that they're teaching us? They're teaching us to be crop pickers, basically. We're not taught to be business people. And we're talking about, I'm talking to this very young girl, and she has a very business head, and I would love for her to talk to you. She's 16-year-old. And she's been raising herself since she was 8 years old, running her, and she was talking about this. The education in school right now, they're not teaching them to survive,
Well, they never did.
They never did. But now even more so. Now they're bombarded with this information that's so unnecessary. And then she said, why do I need to learn about she said, physics that I'm not interested. I'm interested in accounting. I want to know accounting. I want to know accounts payable, accounts receivable. I want to be able to, so, genetics,
I did terrible in school.
Did you?
I did not like it. I was making money by the time I was 11 years old. I wanted to work. I did terrible in school. It wasn't for me. It was not for me.
But you were great in math and business. That was your strengths?
Math and money are two very different things.
Oh, explain.
Math is just understanding the principles of mathematics. I don't need them. I need to understand money.
Oh,
I like that. Thank you, because I'm not.
I was told if this is the mantra I have in my head.
I can count pretty well, but it doesn't. I'm good with numbers.
In my head, I was always taught if you do not know how to do multiplication table, you will not be able to make any money.
It's the Russian thing. I mean,
it's the Russian thing.
It's the same thing. You sit there with grandma. She would drive me insane. 2 times 2, 3 times.
But seriously, there's a huge problem. Sometimes I go to when I go to the store and I give them cash. Right. And I calculate ahead of time the change that I give them, and this is my exercise, mental exercise. People don't know. People do not know math. So tell me, how can you not know math and be successful with money?
Because I can use a calculator to count it. I need to understand, going back to numbers, going back to money, the questions we would talk. $5 million order. What's the money? Is there money in the bank? Is there this? That's the money talk.
Okay.
2 + 2. I mean, I have a calculator.
You just hit the nail on our show name. The money talk.
Yeah, but I have a calculator. I can press a button and it's going to do all that. I mean, I can count pretty well. I'm very gifted in that, but that's not the point. Even without it, I have the tools to do that.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who can count. They don't understand money.
Okay.
I understand money and people. That's how businesses are run. You need money and people. Everything else is secondary.
Okay.
If you don't have people that are willing to give you money or people that are willing to work for money, you don't have a business. I need to understand that.
Okay.
In terms of the multiplication table, I have a beautiful device on my phone, calculator.
Okay, well, you just cleared it out. No, you guys don't need to study math, okay? Study accounting. It's much more important and you will make more money. So we are getting close to our flies. Time flies
when you're having fun.
When you're having
great conversation.
Yes, it was fantastic.
It's a great. What tips can we give our listeners that are, own businesses right now and coming out of, the quarantine and recovering into the, with the economy? What has changed, from a year ago to today,
I think a lot of people are shopping online now.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at the type of businesses people are running. People are shopping online.
Okay.
That's the biggest shift, really. outside of that, people are still out. People are still spending money. People are still spending a lot. We talked about a guy who started selling caviar, amidst COVID.
Amazing.
But
I've heard of several businesses like that.
Yeah.
One of them was selling steaks from out of town. One brought in pizzas from Italy, and they're doing phenomenal right now. They're selling and selling and selling.
We talk a lot about mindset. If you believe, if your mindset of a CEO, you believe there is a market, you will find the market. But most people say that's crazy, caviar or steaks or pizza from Italy. Who needs it? Yeah. Clearly, there are people who need it and are willing to pay money.
They're willing.
It's the mindset. They knew that they could do it and they nailed it. Most people wouldn't think that they could do it, and they would never even try.
Most people talk themselves out of doing
before they even start
that.
Yeah.
I tell you, I have this tape too. When I talk to myself and I say to myself, "Oh, why don't I do this?" And then I find myself really like going through the list of that's the same. Like, no, that's something. Nobody's going to be interested in that. That's nobody's, this is not a viable product. Who wants to buy? So that's the conversation that's is probably a healthy conversation, because if I feel this way, don't go into business. I mean, I'm prone to fail. This isn't.
No, because you're right. Don't go, because people really buy our level of confidence and energy before they buy anything else. If a salesperson comes in and they're basically barely dragging their feet, like, do you want to buy this? I mean, who buys from somebody like that, right? So, but if you believe in the product, the only reason you were able to sell millions of dollars is because you have the energy, you have the confidence, and you have the presence. It doesn't matter what she sells; she's going to sell it.
She's right. I used to train salespeople on the road. I even had training sessions with 200 salespeople. You're selling yourself. You're not selling any product.
That's right.
You're only selling yourself. So if you have no confidence and you walk in and you're shy, or the other person says, "Why do I need this?" and you're like, "Oh God, why does he need?" You're selling yourself. You're not selling any product. You can have any product in your hand, you're going to sell it. Obviously, if something's a little bit more popular, it's better to have it. I'm not going to say not, but I can sell you your paper that you just wrote on. I'll convince you that you need to buy it now from me.
Can you do that?
I really could. But no. But first of all, I read the person, so I know what type of personality, and I don't over pitch. Like, if someone comes to me with their over pitch and this is great and this is so good and you have to have it, I already don't believe them. So I never over pitch.
So believability.
I actually under pitch.
Yeah. I believe in that as well. Yeah. Absolutely. I'll tell you also why, because I don't want to speak for you. I'll speak for myself. I don't want you as a customer if you're not invested in the purchase in a product.
Not just that. I will add to that. No, if you're talking about retail, I mean, if you're talking about a real estate or something else, it's different. But retail, you need the first order is really not that important. Not that it's not important. It got you in the door. But if you can't do a reorder, don't bother selling that person. The whole thing, you living off the reorders. You're not really living off of the first purchase.
Okay, that's
a
good
if you're not going to have turnaround, and you were just selling some story, that's not really the ideal sale.
And then the money is in the returning customers.
Yeah, and then if you get a bad name, anyways, it goes on and on. We are up for time because I have a show next.
Yes.
So you guys are welcome to join me, but I do have a show.
It was so much
4:00.
fun. Yes.
It was great.
It was a great show. Thank you very much
today.
Thank you for joining us, Dahlia. It was very insightful, and you are an amazing businesswoman. I can vouch for that.
To come back.
Yes,
I would love to. Yeah, it works well.
Yeah.
And thank you, Regina. It was beautiful. And I understood some things. And thank God I'm not a businesswoman. And I love what I do. And thank you for being here and helping us understand business and money and success. And we'll see you here next week.
Yes, absolutely.
That's great.
Beautiful.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great day, you guys. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Yes.